Running. Love it or hate it, we know it offers some great benefits. A healthier heart, stress relief, improved mood, weight management, and much more. But what you probably haven't heard is how hard running can be on your gastrointestinal tract and even on your overall health over time. In this video, I'll explain how high volumes of long-distance running can negatively impact your gut health and overall well-being. Also explain why I've personally decided not to race any more long-distance events anytime in the near future. But don't worry, I'm not going to tell you need to stop running. I still run every week. But I will explain in this video why you might want to think twice about your high training volume and racing load for the sake of your health. Plus, I'll offer some tips on how you can stay healthy if you decide to continue training for those long miles. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm Holly of Renewal Fitness and Nutrition Coaching. I'm a registered dietitian, certified holistic nutritionist, and personal trainer, specializing in gut health, weight management, and nutrition for runners. I'm also a recreationally competitive triathlete and runner. For more running tips and nutrition information, make sure to subscribe to my channel, as well as follow me on Instagram, where I post more frequently at Renewal Fit Coach. After my last half marathon, which I did a vlog series here about approximately a year ago, I decided to take a break from long distance running for the sake of my health. See, I was having more frequent stomach upset, which led to poor nutrition, poor recovery, emotional stress around food, and loss of muscle mass. So I started extensively researching the topic of the impact of endurance exercise on gut health. Those studies resulted in the creation of a course called A Runner's Guide to Reducing Gastrointestinal Symptoms for Endurance Runners to make running more enjoyable and optimize performance. And I'll link that course down below so that you can access it to help you reduce GI upset when you're running. So now that you have some of the background on all of this, I want to share 4 of the main points that I learned from that research about why consistent, high-volume endurance running can potentially harm the gut and your overall health, and what you can do about it. But first, I just want to quickly define what I mean by long-term, high-volume endurance running, just to make sure we're on the same page. Most studies that have found problems with gut health have been in runners who regularly run marathons, ultramarathons, and long-distance triathlons. There is not a set standard for how much or how frequently a person must run to cause problems, because each person's situation is unique. So while my personal experience caused problems with as little as a half marathon, this doesn't appear to be as common. So now that we understand all of that, let's dive into the 4 things I learned about how running can impact gut health and what you can do about it. First is gastrointestinal distress and damage. The repetitive impact of running in that up and down motion can cause mechanical stress on your organs, which can exacerbate symptoms like bloating, nausea, gas, diarrhea, and cramps. And this is something I have dealt with in multiple triathlons and running races, which has forced me to slow down and not perform as well as I could, which is, of course, always a huge disappointment. Endurance exercise, like running, also reduces blood flow to the GI tract while you're in motion, which is a good thing because it's taking that blood and redirecting it to your working muscles. However, that can make digestion quite difficult and can lead to problems like vomiting, bloating, gas, diarrhea, even bloody stools in some people, as well as gut permeability or leaky gut. And while leaky gut is not a scientific term, I'm going to continue using that in this video because it's a little bit easier to understand. Gut permeability, aka leaky gut, is essentially openings between the intestinal cells that shouldn't be there, which allow toxins and substances from the GI tract into your bloodstream where they should not be. This creates an immune system response that can cause immediate discomfort or, over time, could contribute to low-grade chronic inflammation and health problems. There can also be temporary damage to the microvilli inside of your intestines, which are important for nutrient absorption. Meaning, if you're having damage to those microvilli, you're not going to absorb as many of the nutrients as your body really needs. If the effort is strenuous enough, such as in ultramarathons, damage and inflammation can show up as blood in your stools. And this should be a sign that something is wrong, not just one of those things that runners deal with. And for people who have conditions like inflammatory bowel disease or irritable bowel syndrome, this type of stress occurring in the GI system can make their symptoms even worse, contributing to that chronic inflammation, pain, and poor nutrient absorption, which can have a negative impact on overall health as well as quality of life. Usually when someone is really struggling with IBS or IBD, it's recommended to take a more gentle approach to exercise to allow the gut to have some time to heal and be restored, rather than adding the stress of intense exercise onto that disease. And as someone who has had chronic GI problems, even though I got to the root of the issue, during my half marathon training, I did experience more symptoms and stomach upset than usual. For people with conditions that are exacerbated by inflammation, like IBS, IBD, and celiac disease, this constant stress and temporary damage can contribute to leaky gut, and in my case, this just made the situation worse. Number 2, post-run GI upset and changes in appetite. It can take several hours, if not days, for your GI tract to return back to a normal state after a really long or intense exercise. If you've ever run an ultramarathon, you may have experienced this, where it took quite a while for your digestive processes to feel like they were getting back to normal. But even without GI upset, changes in appetite are fairly common with runners, making recovery more difficult, because if you're not getting the carbohydrates, protein, and calories that you need after a long run, it can be difficult to repair muscle and prevent injuries, and can even lead to muscle loss. And this is exactly what I dealt with in my last half marathon. My appetite was absolutely horrible. No foods really sounded good, and sometimes I chose less than ideal, not so healthy options just because it was something that I could tolerate. And in the process of this, I started to notice my weight going down on the scale and changes in muscle mass, which I had worked so hard for so many years. I'm always trying to build and maintain muscle, but I was slowly seeing it kind of eke away and starting to see a little bit more of a wasted appearance and skinny look in the mirror that I didn't really like. See, when you don't have fuel before, during, and after running, your body will eventually turn to amino acids or protein that is stored in muscles, which is what causes muscle loss. And without sufficient caloric intake to meet the high demands of training, the body may begin to break down muscle for energy, undermining the very strength and endurance that runners strive to build. Number 3, reliance on processed foods. Another concern with running and gut health is that as runners, we often rely heavily on energy gels, sports drink, and high sugar, highly processed carbohydrates to meet our energy needs. And while these are necessary to get us through those long runs, they can also contribute to imbalances in the gut microbiome and cause digestive discomfort. Many products are highly processed and contain added colors, preservatives, and other chemicals that disrupt the gut microbiome and can contribute to leaky gut and inflammation. Others contain fructose, which isn't necessarily bad. It's a great source of energy, but in high amounts, it can be hard for some people to digest, which can lead to malabsorption and fermentation, causing bloating, diarrhea, and GI discomfort. And because runners have much higher carbohydrate needs than the average person, we often turn to those more refined, highly processed, easy carbohydrates that are low in nutritional value in order to help meet our energy needs. But these foods can promote the growth of bad bacteria, potentially reduce the amounts of good bacteria in the gut, which can then inhibit nutrient absorption, impair the immune system, and contribute to the development of diseases. This lack of variety and fiber in the diet can prevent runners from obtaining essential vitamins and minerals, which are crucial for overall health, energy, and recovery. Number 4, mental stress. While the physical stress of long-distance training and racing is obvious, our quest for personal bests, podiums, and race medals can also create mental stress that poses challenges for gut health. This is because a connection exists between the gut and the brain, referred to as the gut-brain axis. And when we are mentally stressed, it can cause digestive and gastrointestinal problems. Training and racing can cause psychological strain, whether it's from the planning, the early mornings, the travel, or that drive and competitive need to succeed. These factors may lead to issues such as anxiety and depression, which can disrupt healthy digestion and lead to a cycle of inflammation and GI problems. Personally, knowing I have to schedule certain runs, I can't miss certain training, I have to prepare for races, I want to succeed, can create this mental and emotional stress over something that is really intended to be healthy and fun. So after my race, I pulled back on those long miles and cut back on my runs, and fairly quickly after, I started to notice my stomach upset improving, my appetite got better, I started to eat better, and started to work on putting that muscle back on that I had lost. My gut health is now much better, and if you've ever experienced these frustrations, not just in and around running, but through your daily life, then you know how important it is to have your digestion and gut feeling good and being in a healthy state. Not only does it impact exercise, but it impacts the overall quality of your entire life and reduces a lot of stress. The mental and physical stress, gut issues, and muscle loss during my previous race training has led me to the point where I'd prefer not to take on as many running endurance events. And since my passion is triathlon, swimming and biking are not nearly as hard on the gut as running is. So it still allows me to participate in, train for, and enjoy endurance events that are slightly shorter without all of that GI upset, loss of appetite, and still allows me to maintain muscle. But what if running is your passion? Am I telling you to hang up your running shoes? Absolutely not. I know how passionate runners are, and running can be a great way to stay fit, release stress, and build mental and physical perseverance. So I want to finish out this video by giving you some tips for gut health to try to keep it as healthy as possible while you manage your miles for long-term sustainable health. But before we dive into those tips, if this video is helping you so far, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. First of all, ask yourself, are your training and racing efforts balanced? Consider only doing a few long distance events per year and mix in some other shorter distances that aren't so taxing to train for. Or think about new challenges like cycling, rowing, mountain climbing, hiking, etc. to work your body in new ways while still enjoying exercise and the outdoors. Include strength training. Not only can this help you to maintain muscle mass, but it can make you a faster runner and prevent chances of injury. Plus, this type of exercise is good for the gut microbiome. Check in with your gut. How's your digestion? Do you have GI upset when running? Do a lot of foods cause bloating, pain, gas? Any bloody stools after races? You may want to pull back on your training for a time to allow your gut to heal. You might also need to look at the foods you eat to see if certain foods are causing problems. If this is an issue, check out that course linked down below that I mentioned before for runners with GI upset, or you can always reach out to me for a one-on-one consultation. How's your recovery? Are you taking time to relax, de-stress, unwind, put your legs up, and let your muscles recover and heal? Are you hydrating and eating enough when you run? Many runners underhydrate and undereat, which can contribute to GI upset, and keeping a steady stream of food and water going to the gut can help keep some of that blood flow in that area, which can reduce GI symptoms. Are you using NSAIDs or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs to manage pain when you run? If so, these can really contribute to and exacerbate GI upset, not to mention potentially damage organs if you use them consistently enough over time. If you're having a lot of pain that you have to deal with in your muscles or bones, probably better to go see a physical therapist, a sports therapist, or a doctor to see how you can heal the root issue and correct imbalances or issues with strength to get rid of that pain rather than to just cover it up with a medication. Make sure to eat a healthy diet. Try not to rely so much on those highly processed foods to meet your energy needs. If your stomach can tolerate it when you're running, try to mix in some dried fruit, honey, maple syrup, or fruit purees to provide some of your carbohydrates. Outside of training, try to keep your diet high in fiber from real natural foods with plenty of vegetables, healthy fats, fruit, and protein. Try interval training if you don't already. This can be a great way to improve speed and efficiency without having to spend so many hours pounding the pavement, which can help reduce the impact on your GI tract. You may also consider certain supplements. I really prefer to recommend supplements one-on-one to clients because everyone's different, but certain supplements like glutamine and omega-3s may be safer for a lot of people and have a positive impact on the GI tract, both during and after running. I can also do a future video on this that would address other supplements, so if you think that would be interesting and something you'd like to see, please leave a comment down below. Incorporating the strategies I've mentioned can help to reduce adverse effects and promote a more enjoyable running experience and keep you healthy long term. It's important to find an approach that is sustainable, both for performance, but also for lifelong well-being. Generally speaking, balance is best when it comes to health, not constantly pushing your body to the limits. I hope this video was helpful for learning about how high volume, long endurance running can impact gut health and what you can do about it to try to protect yourself and your gut for long-term health as you continue in your athletic pursuits. If you'd like more help on how to keep your gut and entire body healthy, you can always check out that course that I mentioned before, which also gives lots of tips on how to fuel for running, both during and outside of running, to keep you as healthy as possible, whether you experience GI upset or not. You can also reach out to me for one-on-one coaching if you need a more personalized approach to reaching your athletic goals and protecting your gut health. You can contact me at renewalfitcoach@gmail.com or just learn more on my website at renewalfitcoach.com. And before you go, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. And if you think a fellow runner would benefit from this video, please pass it along. And until the next one, blessings on your running and health journey.